Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith at TV. It's time for News Central now, and here are the top stories at this hour. Rivers Sole Administrator confirms release of withheld allocations. Supreme Court reinstates Sam Anyanwu as National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. And Namibia swears in their first female president as Natambo Nadi Ntaitwa becomes president. Details in a moment. And you're welcome. Let's begin in Rivers State, shall we, where the sole administrator, Ibok Ite Ibas, has announced the release of withheld local government allocations, assuring that necessary steps will be taken to ensure the prompt payment of workers' salaries. Speaking during a meeting with traditional rulers in Port Harcourt, Ibas described the gathering as a pivotal moment in the collective effort to restore stability and progress in the state. The sole administrator lamented the economic hardship in the Niger Delta, noting that despite the region's wealth of natural resources, its people continue to suffer. The administrator expressed concern over the delay in salary payments across local government areas, acknowledging the struggles of affected workers.
Let me assure you that the withheld allocations have now been released, and I hereby issue a directive that all the necessary steps be taken to ensure that these salaries are paid without any further delay. However, as this is a new administration, transparency and accountability are our watchwords. To this end, I hereby direct further that all local government areas furnish my office with a wage bills by way of a brief through the office of the head of service. This will enable me to acquaint myself with the situation, as this is my debut dealing with such a matter. All such submissions should be supported with relevant documents to provide clarity and ensure accuracy.
The Joe Youth Council Eastern Zone has dragged the federal government to the ECOWAS Court of Justice over the suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara of the Rivers State and other elected officials by President Bola Tinubu. The 12 litigants, led by Comrade Ibiso Harry, challenged the president's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State, describing it as an illegal suspension that violates their fundamental human rights. In the suit, the applicants urged the regional court to issue an order setting aside and/or squashing the suspension of elected officials and removal of democratic structures and institutions in Rivers State. And out of court matters, in a decisive ruling, the Supreme Court has reinstated Samuel Anyanwu as the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. The lead judgment delivered by Justice Jumilu Tukur of the Apex Court held that the case filed by Emmanuel Aniagu at the Enugu High Court was purely an internal party matter, thereby stripping the lower court of jurisdiction. The Apex Court ruled that Sunday Ude Okoye not being joined in the case means that Aniagu Emmanuel lacked the legal rights to have instituted the matter at the Enugu Division of the Federal High Court.
For the record, the Supreme Court held that the matter filed by Emmanuel Aniagu at the Enugu High Court relates to the leadership position of the PDP, that is, National Secretary of PDP. And that is an internal affair of the PDP, and therefore the court lacked jurisdiction. Secondly, that the said plaintiff, Aniago Emmanuel, lacks the local standard to pursue that suit, that he was a meddlesome interloper, and therefore ought not to have filed the suit at all. And the courts ought not to have entertained it at all. And therefore the judgments, the concurrent judgments were all set aside.
In the last 4 years, I've been bruised. But thank God, today is the end of it all. I thank our party veterans across the country, the leaders, my friends, my lawyers too, who have worked assiduously to ensure that justice prevails. So for me, I have not defeated anybody. I'm here to continue my work as National Secretary of the party, pending when the next convention will come. Probably I'll find my way out or I'll move on with life. But as now, as it remains, till 9th December 2025, I remain the National Secretary of PDP. And I'm here. I didn't win anybody. It's just a conflict of the family. But I believe that people should learn how to be honest about issues.
The long-running legal battle involving the leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, took a dramatic turn at the Federal High Court in Abuja. At the commencement of proceedings, Kanu's new lead counsel, Kanu Agabi, extended a formal apology on behalf of his client to the former presiding judge, Justice Binta Nyako, lead prosecutor, and senior advocate Adegboyega Awomolo, and his own legal team. Agabi informed the court that his client had acted out of anger in the past, describing Kanu's previous statements as unjustified and called for a fresh approach towards his client based on reconciliation and justice. The case was then adjourned to April 29th, May the 2nd, and May the 6th. The Federal High Court, sitting at Lokoja on Thursday, granted an interim injunction restraining INEC from receiving, accepting, or acting on any petition containing alleged fictitious signatures of purported members of Kogi Central Senatorial District and conducting any referendum upon such petition for the purpose of initiating a recall process of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, pending the determination of the motion of notice to the same effect. The court granted the application following an expedited application for interim injunction supported by an affidavit of extreme urgency together with other court processes sworn to by Anebe Jacob Ogirima for himself and 4 others who are registered voters and constituents of Kogi Central Senatorial District of Kogi State. The case has been adjourned to 6th May 2025 for report of service and further mention. A former councillor from Ifon Orolu in Osun State, identified simply as Aziz, has been reportedly killed as the boundary disputes involving Ifon and Ilobo communities resurged. A resident of Ifon said Aziz was confirmed dead at the Osun State University Teaching Hospital, Osogbo, early on Friday. Also, during the bloody clash involving the communities, several houses were reportedly razed. Media aide to Olufon of Ifo, Yusuf Adekunle, who confirmed the incident, accused Ilubo community of sponsoring the attack. The allegation was, however, dismissed by the Otun Jagun of Ilubo, Adegoke Ogunshola, who said Ifon people launched attacks on the residents of the town, during which many people were injured. The Kano State government has increased the salaries of academic and non-academic staff of tertiary institutions in the state. The State Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Waya, made this known to newsmen, saying that this formed part of the resolutions of the 26th State Executive Council meeting, which held in the state capital. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
The 26th State Executive Council meeting of Kano State Government and the Governor, Abba Yusuf, is opening this edition with emphasis on revamping the housing sector in Kano State. The Governor expressed concerns over the abandonment of houses in the 3 mega cities, calling on the newly sworn-in Commissioner of Housing to ensure that owners must occupy with immediate effect.
We have deep concern about the 3 mega cities that were conceptualized and constructed by the previous administration of our leader, His Excellency Senator Rabi Musa Kunkosu. We therefore expect nothing less than ensuring that the 3 cities are occupied by the owners of the houses with almost immediate effect.
And after a day-long deliberation, resolutions were made, and the state image maker, Abdullahi Ibrahim Oya, reeled out all that was resolved, including a new salary package for higher institution workers.
The council has approved a total sum of 3,398,144,284 naira for Kobo for execution of various projects in the state. With regards to policy matters, the Executive Council had approved 25% and 35% of salary increment for academic and non-academic staff respectively, the respect of the tertiary institutions across the state, effective from March 2025.
It's another addition to the welfare of the people of Kano State, with a hope that citizens will have their expectations met. In Kano for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
News now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break. When we return, we turn to education as the federal government has inaugurated the governing council and principal officers of some federal universities. We'll take this break and we'll bring you that news afterwards. Stay with us. Hey, welcome back. The federal government has inaugurated the governing council and principal officers of the Federal University of Applied Sciences, Kachia, in Kaduna State. The Minister of Education, during the ceremony, charged the newly inaugurated members to give their best for the development of the institution and the state. The governing council comprised Bishop Matthew Kako, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, as chairman, Thomas Etu, representing the North Central, Fabian Nwara from the Southeast, Professor Femi Taiwo from the Southwest, and Zara Bukur from the Northeast as members. Also, Professor Zirik Barnabas was inaugurated as the Vice-Chancellor, Sanusi Adamu as the Registrar, and Ibrahim Tahutu as Bossa, as well as Professor Daniel Abubakar as a University Librarian. And now to Katsina State, where Governor Diko Rada's 5.7 billion naira goat rearing initiative aimed to empower thousands of women by distributing 40,000 goats. But despite its lofty goals, beneficiaries like Nana Fatima, a widow with 9 children, face significant challenges. An investigation reveals struggles with sick goats, unclear selection processes, and the burden of returning the same number of goats within a year. News Central's Rukaya Aliyu Jabir reports.
This is Nana Fatima, a widow with 9 children. She's one of the 3,610 beneficiaries of Katsina State's 5.7 billion naira goat empowerment program. The government says it is a life-changing initiative from the shackles of poverty to economic independence and women inclusion. But for Nana and some other beneficiaries, it has turned into a struggle for survival.
You can hear it breathing. It got really uncomfortable for it to poo. I said they should slaughter it, but I want to monitor the condition of the second goat.
2 of my goats are currently sick. I called the veterinarian. He will be here soon, but I don't know if I am still giving back 4 goats if any of them die.
According to National Population Commission, 51% of Katsina population are women, with only about 20 to 30% of literate women, while the rest are either unemployed or facing abject poverty amidst rising insecurity in the state. Though, to many, the program sounds like a life-changing opportunity, but clearly shown misgivings full of cracks. The selection process remains shrouded in mystery. Politicizing every opportunity in government program has been making it unsuccessful.
I heard of this from Mashi. Someone worked it out for me. Usman Osi. Yes, I am related to Usman Osi.
Osi, I am one of his relatives.
I know Abubakar Sani.
The questions are, how were these women selected? What is the criteria for selection?
Imams of the two most recognized Islamic sects are members of the committee from the Izala and Tariqa. And then we have the counselor representing that ward. So this committee is saddled with responsibility of selecting the beneficiaries.
Launched in November last year, the KSDP aimed at empowering communities through grassroots development. But for many beneficiaries, the reality has fallen short of this mission. Even for those who receive the goods, the challenges are overwhelming. Many beneficiaries can barely feed themselves, let alone their livestock. And the pressure to return 4 goats to the government in just 1 year adds to their stress. And with 6 goats dying, the burden only grows heavier. But the question is, in a 21st century society driven by technology, innovation, and digital economies, will an empowerment of 4 goats to 3,610 women be considered as the best use of 5.7 billion naira in empowering citizens, or do they deserve better?
In fact, we have even started in some of the wards, training them, pulling them together, giving them the necessary what to do on goat rearing.
Each goat distributed under this program cost the government 144,000 naira. Yet in local market, a goat of that size sells for just 30 to 40,000 naira. This staggering difference raises serious questions.
It's not a scandal. What do you mean by a scandal?
But many people actually.
Because they don't understand the whole concept of the program. We are trying to empower people. We are trying to make people viable. We are trying to make people to do something that will earn them livings.
Analysts call it a misuse of public funds, arguing the money could have been used more effectively to address the root causes of poverty.
Most of the beneficiaries, they normally came from the political parties' loyalists and the family and friend of political office holders. I call it so-called empowerment because the empowerment did not even touch the root cause. You know, when you look at the northern part of the country, like particularly northwest, we are the victims of banditry. Many people left their home. Many people are farmers, but now they cannot even go to their farms. Majority of people now becomes what we call IDPs, what internally displaced persons. It's a huge amount of money. If it can be used appropriately, I believe it will touch the lives of millions of Nigerians.
Empowerment programs are only as good as their execution. Without proper planning, transparency, and follow-through, they risk doing more harm than good. For Nana and many others, the goats were meant to be a lifeline. Instead, they've become a burden. The question remains, was this truly empowerment or just another misplaced priority? In Katsina, Rukaya Jibia for News Central.
In the coming weeks, as the rainy season approaches, farmers will be busy preparing their land for cultivation and planting. Many have already begun clearing their fields, with some tilling the soil in anticipation of rains that will soften the earth for planting. However, for many women engaged in agriculture, farming remains a struggle due to financial constraints and the challenges within the sector's value chain. News Central's Chinwe Ugeli reports.
For most women farmers, agriculture is limited to subsistence farming due to a lack of funding and access to the knowledge needed to expand their skills. To address this, wife of Nigeria's President Oluremi Tinubu, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, is providing incentives and technical training for women farmers across Abia State's 3 senatorial districts. During the launch of the initiative in Umuahia North local government area, wife of Abia Governor Priscilla Oti, speaking on behalf of the Nigerian First Lady, expressed confidence that the program would not only enhance food security, but also improve the economic prospects of women farmers.
Your participation in this program demonstrates your passion for agriculture and your desire to make a positive impact in your communities. Let us work together to build a brighter future for our state, where agriculture thrives and our people prosper.
Some of the women who have benefited from the training say they now feel better equipped to overcome obstacles in their farming activities.
Trainings on the practices of how to cultivate cassava, vegetables, how to produce both organic and inorganic manure. This year now we know how to put the cassava stem. And another thing that I learned yesterday was they taught us how to do organic fertilizer.
Others are calling for more farm equipment to improve productivity and increase their harvest, while also raising concerns about cattle invasions that often destroy their crops.
Fertilizer,
we need more support in our farmer by giving us enough place. We need support, land, and money to support our farmers, our farm. Fertilizer
Empowering women farmers is key to encouraging greater participation in agriculture and boosting economic independence. However, beyond subsistence farming, providing access to mechanized agriculture will significantly enhance productivity and ensure greater food security.
Women across the globe have been challenged to make themselves available in contributing their quota to ensure their voices are heard in activities that matter in society. The call was made by the chairperson of the Nigeria Association of Women's Journalists, Plateau State Chapter, Nene Ding, as members marked this year's International Women's Day in Jos, the state capital. News Central's Chizoba Anionwe was there and now reports.
In collaboration with the Bukuru B Division of the Plateau State Police Command, the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists took to the streets of Bukuru area of Jos to intimate members of the public, especially women, on their expectations in society. Nene Dung is the chairperson of NAWOJ on the Plateau, and this is her take on the rights of women.
This is more or less like a Muslim-dominated area. So we decided to bring this awareness to them, to let them know that the rights does not cover one section of the society. It covers all sections of society. The Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, the Gender Equal Opportunities Law, the Child Rights Law. It protects everyone, irrespective of religion, irrespective of culture. And that is why we have come out to tell these women that when they're suffering, they shouldn't suffer in silence. We are here, we can help them escalate their problems. And that is why we even shared flyers with our phone numbers on it and asked that everyone that has a challenge should be able to speak up.
Other stakeholders believe that if given the opportunity, women would assume their rightful positions in the society.
As children, they have rights, they equally have responsibilities to the society. So by so doing, catching them young, it will help. As they grow up, they will go with these tenets of human rights.
Women's right is also human rights. Our rights are not different from that of the men, so we should not be treated differently from the men. And when we talk about gender equality, we're not saying that we want to take over from the men. We're not saying that women should fight or compete with their men, but we're simply saying that let there be a level playing ground for women to be themselves. Let there be equal opportunities.
I think women should be given the right to express themselves. If women should be given the right to express themselves, I think they will even do more than the men.
With the theme, Accelerate Action, everyone is urged to make meaningful contribution for a better and safer society for women and the girl child. In Plateau State for News Central, Chizoba Anionwe.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Coming up, Atambo Nadi Ntaitwa has now been sworn as Namibia's first female president. We have the details just after the break. Join us again. And you're welcome back. Tambo Nadi Ntaitwa has been sworn in as Namibia's first female president and fifth leader. Chief Justice Peter Shivuti administered the oath to her on Friday during the nation's 35th Independence Day ceremony at the State House. Outgoing President Nangolo Mbumba handed over power to Nadi Ntaitwa at the ceremony that had to be moved from the Independence Stadium because of rare heavy rains. She won the election late last year with more than 57% of the votes cast, with Pandulini Itula, her closest rival, getting just 26% according to the Electoral Commission. But Itula rejected the outcome, saying the election was deeply flawed. She has pledged to transform Namibia's economy and unite the people after political divisions split the country. Malaysia is facing its worst economic crisis in decades, with inflation soaring to double digits, leaving many struggling to make ends meet. In the capital, Lilongwe, market vendors are feeling the pinch as the economic downturn continues to worsen. The country faces growing uncertainty ahead of the elections in September. President Lazarus Chakwera is seeking a second term amid the financial challenges, and the crisis has put immense pressure on everyday Malawians, with many fearing what the future holds.
The impact on Forex problems in my business is there's no profits. I'm not making profits. I'm just satisfying my customers.
Ife na pro parliament kukadandaula kuboma chifukwa chakuti ma business partner athu amene amwenye m'China amakweza katundu modabwitsa pafupi pa tsiku katatu komanso ndalama zambiri. Nde tinapita parliament kuti tikapereke madandaulo kuti adindo akadziwe chimene chikuchitika kumeneko.
We are talking of inflation in Malawi. It's really hitting hard on Malawi because, like, we are talking of January, the inflation rate was on 28%.
Mavuto kwambiri kunyumba makamaka panova ifeyo ngati geni yathu yakaunjika timasamalira miyoyo yambiri anamasiye potengeranso kuti ndi moyo wa matsiku ano zinthu zinadula, moyo wa pakhomo timalipirira ana sukulu, chilichonse timachokera nacho kumene kukaunjika, koma chifukwa chakuvuta kwa zinthu mmene zavutiramo sitikukhala bwinobwino m'makomo.
On Friday, South Africa is honoring Human Rights Day, a day dedicated to commemorating the sacrifices made in the pursuit of freedom and justice of the country. Events to commemorate this day are taking place across the country. But we turn our attention now to a particularly significant location at the Constitutional Hill, a site steeped in the history of the nation's struggle. News Central's Bogani Ziziba has more.
Here the echoes of the past resonate through present. South Africans have come together to honor the sacrifices made for freedom and justice. Today they gather here at the Constitutional Hill, a second ground that tells the stories of heroes, the struggles they faced, and the victories they achieved.
Let us engage in nation building and to say we are at present.
These are the words of Nelson Mandela when he came out of captivity. That is why today South Africa stands united in a solemn remembrance, Human Rights Day.
Human rights means to me the respect of all humans, the respect of all rights, the respect of dignity. That is a universal thing that is not confined to only one country, but rather this is across humanity.
Spaces like this allow us to raise awareness together, so let's continue calling out where people aren't being able to live their lives freely and have access to basic needs.
These individuals remember not just about South Africa, but their brothers and sisters in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, in Palestine, Nigeria, and many others across the world who face injustices and violence. Their cries echo like these of South Africans.
The issue of human rights in Nigeria is an eyesore, honestly. It's something that most people don't want to talk about it because they are angry about it. And I wish things can be done to change that narrative.
We saw South Africa a positive impact about injustice which is going on in Palestine. Same with what is going in Congo and Sudan and other places.
As the festivity continues, a stark reminder of the unfinished business of justice looms nearby. The apartheid victims gathered on the other side, their voices drowned out by the celebration, yet their truth remains echoing. Injustices of reparations undone, promises broken.
On our side, we see people who are commemorating this day as a Human Rights Day. We don't know how they are commemorating it, whether they are enjoying. On our side, we are still crying. We are still have the issue of seeing our side will be re-victimized by our democratical government.
Let the drums ring out. It's a call to those who dare to fight for justice. Today, South Africans acknowledge its present and strive together for a future where human rights are upheld for every individual everywhere. At the Constitutional Hill in Johannesburg for News Central, Bongani Sizim.
In Sudan, army troops have successfully recaptured the presidential palace from the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces after a fierce battle. A military source told newsmen that the army stormed the Republican palace, reclaiming control after defeating the remnants of the RSF. The paramilitary group had occupied the palace since April of 2023. The recapture marks a significant development in the ongoing conflict between the Sudanese army and the RSF.
دمرت قواتنا بفضل الله وتوفيقه أفراد ومعدات العدو تدميرا كاملا واستولت على كميات كبيرة من أسلحته ومعداته بالمناطق المذكورة. نهدي شعبنا الصابر هذه الانتصارات كما نؤكد مضينا قدما بكل محاور القتال حتى يكتمل النصر بتطهير كامل بلادنا من دنس الميليشيا وأعوانها.
You're watching news now on News Central Television. Still ahead. Police in London cordon off area, flights cancelled over Heathrow Airport fire. We have the details just after the break. Join us again. And you're welcome back. One of the world's busiest airports is at a standstill. Heathrow Airport has been forced to shut down until midnight after a massive fire at a nearby electricity substation, which counter-terrorism police are now investigating. Thousands of passengers are stranded, flights are diverted, and authorities are warning of significant disruption in the days ahead. News Central's international correspondent Afia Hagen has the latest.
Flights at Heathrow Airport have come to a complete halt. More than 1,300 flights were scheduled to land or take off here today, and that is no longer happening. The reason? A catastrophic fire at a nearby electricity substation, plunging parts of the area into darkness and forcing airport authorities to take the unprecedented decision to shut down operations until at least midnight tonight. The impact is huge. Heathrow usually handles 220,000 passengers a day, many of whom are now left in limbo. Planes already in the air had to turn back or divert to other airports across Europe. Flight radar data shows Amsterdam, Gatwick and Frankfurt amongst those taking in diverted flights. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband has called the fire catastrophic, but says it's too early to determine the cause. The fire, described as apocalyptic by eyewitnesses, sent thick black smoke over the airport and knocked out power in surrounding areas. The knock-on effect of this closure will be felt for days, not just in the UK, but around the world. Airlines like British Airways are scrambling to rebook passengers, whilst Gatwick has stepped in to handle some diverted flights. Ryanair and EasyJet are launching rescue flights to help stranded travellers. With Heathrow shut down and all trains to the airport suspended, passengers are being urged not to travel there. The question now is, how quickly can Heathrow recover from this unprecedented shutdown? For News Central, I'm Afia Hagan.
And prosecutors have requested a 10-year prison sentence for French-Algerian writer Bou Sansail, who was accused of undermining the country's territorial integrity. Relations between France and Algeria have deteriorated since President Emmanuel Macron in July 2024 expressed support for Morocco's autonomy plan for the disputed territory of Western Sahara. Macron said he hoped for a swift resolution so that Sansal should regain his freedom.
Plusieurs messages ont été échangés et je souhaite qu'on puisse trouver une issue rapide à cette situation qui est une situation humaine, humanitaire et de dignité pour tout le monde. Voilà, je pense que c'est très important. Et c'est très important aussi pour l'Algérie.
China said it welcomed a visit to Beijing by Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines, who has vowed to raise trade tensions and fentanyl smuggling with officials. Now, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning said China welcomes Senator Daines' visit, and it also welcomes Americans from all walks of life, including members of Congress, to visit China. China has always believed that maintaining stable, healthy, and sustainable development of China-U.S. ties is in the common interest of both peoples and is the general expectation of the international community.
欢迎戴恩斯参议员访华，也欢迎包括国会议员在内的美国各界人士访华。中方一贯认为，中美关系保持稳定、健康、可持续发展，符合两国人民的共同利益和国际社会的普遍期待。中日韩是搬不走的邻居，也都是地区和世界的重要经济体。去年5月第5次中日韩领导人会议以来，三国多个领域的务实合作稳步推进，取得积极进展。在这一次的外长会上，三方将就推进中日韩合作以及共同关心的地区和国际问题交换意见。中方愿意同日方和韩方一道，落实领导人共识，全面推进人文交流、可持续发展与气候变化、经济合作与贸易、公共卫生和老龄化社会、科技合作与数字化转型以及救灾和安全等领域的合作，不断扩大利益的契合点，做大合作蛋糕，推动三国合作更好地造福三国人民，也促进地区和世界的和平、稳定、繁荣。
You're watching news now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break. When we return, it's business news. Stay here. Hey, welcome back. Major investors like Franklin Resources, JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo have slashed their South African bonds holdings, triggering outflows not seen since May's elections. U.S.-South Africa tensions fueled by alleged ties to Iran and support for Palestine have sparked fears of losing AGOA trade benefits. Despite around 16.1 billion rand in foreign bond sell-offs this month, domestic buyers like Sanlam and Standard Bank stepped in. Meanwhile, Alliance and BlackRock increased their holdings, showing confidence in debt consolidation efforts. On Business Edge earlier today, we had Professor Andre Rocks, economist from the University of Stellenbosch Business School, who explained the possible outcome for South Africa without previous U.S. synergy.
Yes, certainly. There's a possibility that some funds have decided to sell off their bonds, but others have decided, presumably, by all accounts, to actually raise their stake in SA bonds. So you must remember that through thick and thin, for the last number of decades, South Africa has never defaulted on its government debt and never failed to pay its interest. So we've actually built up amongst seasoned, I would say, players in the market, a good reputation of never defaulting, never failing to pay interest. And by the way, the interest we offer on government bonds is obviously very attractive. So for many investors, they see this as being a kind of a win-win situation. Investing in bonds is liquid, which means if you do get nervous, you can withdraw very quickly. But at the same time, as long as you have those bonds, you're earning 7, 8, 9% interest, which beats most countries in the world. So as I said, it's a win-win situation for investors. And therefore, I don't see us failing to be able to borrow the shortfall on the budget.
The Liberia Football Association has officially petitioned FIFA following their controversial 2026 World Cup qualifier defeat to Tunisia. The Lone Stars lost narrowly to the Carthage Eagles in Morocco, but the LFA claims biased officiating unfairly favored Tunisia. The association argues that Liberia was denied 2 clear penalties, significantly impacting the match's outcome. Liberia insists that these decisions could affect their standing in the qualification group and wants FIFA to review the officiating. The petition highlights ongoing concerns about fair play in African qualifiers as the LFA seeks a response from FIFA regarding their grievances. Morocco's Junior Atlas Lions have sent a strong message ahead of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations after a hard-fought victory over Ghana's Black Satellites in a preparatory match at the Mohammed V complex. The win boosts Morocco's confidence as they gear up for the tournament in Ivory Coast, where they will compete in Group B alongside Nigeria's Flying Eagles, South Africa, and Egypt. Meanwhile, Ghana has been drawn in Group A with DR Congo, Tanzania, and host Ivory Coast. The Under-20 AFCON will take place from the 26th of April to the 18th of May, with teams intensifying their preparations for continental glory. And that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Riverso administrator has confirmed the release of withheld allocations. Supreme Court has reinstated Sam Anyanwu as National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. And we also told you that Natambo Nadi Ndaitwa has, has now made history as she has been sworn in as the first female president for Namibia. If you see anything, please send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422. We're on GoTV channel 23. We're on Star Times channel 274. We're also on Avo TV, and you can stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith TV.